What's up, everybody? My name is Doug.
And I'm Aaron.
And we are ex-step cousin-in-laws. Today's a very special episode. We coming at you live and direct for the very first time from our own home studio right here in Aaron's basement. That's right. You're not going to want to miss it. Stay tuned.
You said live. Does that matter?
What's up, everybody? My name is Doug.
And I'm Aaron.
And we are ex-step cousin-in-laws.
Yes, we
and
are.
Today is a very special episode. We're coming at you not live and not direct from Aaron's very own basement in our new studio. The very first episode. You're not going to want to miss it. Come hang out with us. We're going to talk about who we are and how we got to this point. We'll see you in a little bit. Thank you guys for tuning into the channel. We got an awesome episode today. This is the first episode we are recording from our studio at Aaron's house. We're excited to get this thing kicked off. We haven't been in here because of the quarantine. So today is a special one for us because today is the first time that we are actually using the studio that we built. If you want to see how we built that studio, make sure you click on this video right here. It only took us 2 days, and I think we said $300?
$300, yeah.
To build this studio. We had a lot of extra tools and stuff like that. But if you want to see how we did it, go ahead and check that video out. Also, the last time we were together at his house was the last day before the quarantine.
Yeah.
Our governor, what's her name?
Gretchen Whitmer.
Gretchen Whitmer shut down.
That's her real name.
Oh, not the name you call her.
Yeah, exactly.
The governor had shut down the state, and we were in quarantine. We weren't allowed to work. We technically weren't essential for the type of work we were doing at the time. So we kind of had to shut down. And we got back to work this week. This is the first full week of work. And so we wanted to get in the studio and make sure we said hello to everybody and got this thing kicked off. I do want to give a big shout out to somebody special, though.
Yeah, I want to give a big shout out to my nephew, Jack. We know you're watching, so we appreciate you tuning into all our videos.
It means a lot to us, bro. You're always commenting on the videos and liking all our stuff, man, and we appreciate the support, bro. Well, maybe we'll get him in here.
Yeah.
Get him in here and do something.
He said he's interested in doing this type of work. So,
really?
Yeah. We'll have to pick his brain a little bit, see what he's thinking.
All right.
It's actually like.
We'll do it. We'll make sure we tag him in these videos or at least in these links.
Yeah.
And we'll get you in here, Jack. Thanks for everything you do, bro. Appreciate you. So what are we going to talk about, first of all? Well, we got this nice new studio we spent all this money on.
I know. I think
what do we
maybe
do?
people want to know about us a little bit. Maybe first things is, where did we come up with such a weird, crazy...
I don't think it's a weird, crazy name.
You know, the in-laws or
but
something.
It's very direct.
Well, I always tell people it is our relationship. So I'm assuming most of you know, but it's ex-step cousin-in-laws.
Ex-step cousin-in-laws.
Yeah.
I think, how did we get that one? We were here. We were building the studio.
Yeah.
I have footage of us writing on the whiteboard we were trying to come up with a name for the channel.
Yeah, at first it was just, we were trying to mesh our names.
Doug and Aaron.
The Aaron and Doug and Aaron, do work.
Right.
And
we were trying to figure something out.
Nothing seemed to click.
And I remember where we were standing. We were standing in the garage, walking into the porch, and I was like, I was thinking ex-step cousin-in-laws. And we just knew right away that was it. It made more sense. Because they didn't want, part of like a YouTube channel is, do you name the YouTube channel your brand or do you name it your name? And everybody was, on all the videos that you watch about starting a YouTube channel, they're always saying that it was better to use your name because you can do whatever with it. If you start it with the brand, then you kind of have to use it for the brand.
Or change the name, then you lose all your subscribers.
So we didn't want, but there's two of us. So Doug and Aaron was the only thing we were coming up with, and that's super boring. So ex-step cousin-in-laws just fit. But maybe we'll just go into how that works, how we're ex-step cousin-in-laws and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
You might as well start because I come in way late.
Okay. So I guess the first part is the cousins. My wife is, we'll say right now, cousins with his wife. But they're cousins through marriage. So it was, who was it? So
your wife's dad?
Well, my wife's uncle married his wife's mother.
So my wife, her dad is his wife's dad's brother. But my wife's dad isn't her real father, isn't her biological father. So so it's her stepfather technically, the only dad she knows.
Which is my wife's real uncle.
Brother. Yeah, her real uncle.
Yeah, so they are step cousins.
Yeah, so my wife and his wife are step cousins.
Our step cousins.
And then my wife's parents got divorced.
So that's the
X.
X. And then we married those step cousin, ex-step cousins, so that's the in-law part. So it's actually quite simple.
Yeah, it's not that difficult.
It's
I know
really
we
not.
made that really hard. We have 2 brothers. They each get married and have kids. Those are cousins now.
Yeah.
My wife is a stepchild of one of those brothers, and your wife is a real child of one of the brothers. So technically they're step cousins now. But then my wife's parents got divorced.
Yeah, it's that simple.
Ex-step cousin
In-laws.
in-laws.
My mother-in-law keeps saying it's supposed to be ex-step cousins-in-law.
Really?
I don't know.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, no, it would be ex-step cousins-in-laws because it's talking about 2 of
Correct.
us.
Cousins-in-law.
I would be an ex-step cousins-in-law.
We are ex-step cousin-in-laws. You're my ex-step cousin-in-law, but we are ex-step
But where does
cousins-in-law.
the S come in is what she's saying. It'd be
She's
ex-
saying it's on the cousins because we're
Right.
cousins-in-law.
She might be right.
But it's how it rolls off the tongue, I guess. It's
Ex-step
better.
cousin-in-laws. Well, because in-laws.
I know.
I
But
think you're
you
normally saying, oh, those are my in-laws.
yeah, but you say it's my brother-in-law. You don't say it's my brothers-in-law.
Right. They're brother-in-laws. You wouldn't say those 2 are brothers-in-law.
No.
You'd say those 2 are brother-in-laws.
No,
Yeah, brother-in-laws. Cousin-in-laws. Ex-step cousin-in-laws.
brothers-in-law.
You wouldn't say that.
Well, I think it rolls off the tongue better.
Yeah, totally.
What's right? I
Anyway.
guess. Yeah. Now we're.
Anyway, that's our YouTube channel.
Yeah. And that's how it all ended.
Yeah.
That is what happened.
So we own a company together called Masterworks Contracting. We build homes and other things.
Work.
Yeah. Okay, so this could be an incredibly long story, but we're not going to make it long. We're going to try to make this real quick so you can kind of get the picture here. When I was 18, in the year 2000, that's when I met my wife. So technically, that's when we all met each other.
Yeah.
It was 20 years ago now, which is a trip to think about.
Well, that's when Doug entered the picture. Yeah.
Yeah, that's when I entered the picture. He had already been in the picture.
Married. I was already
No, you
married.
weren't
I wasn't married yet, but I had grown up with the family and
Yeah.
knew your
He
wife.
grew up
was
with my wife.
I knew his wife before I knew mine, actually.
They went to homecoming together.
Yeah.
So they go way back.
Yeah.
They know each other from church, and their families were all friends, and they're like family friend families. And they go way back. I don't enter the picture until the year 2000 when I'm 18 years old and I graduate high school. So, but him and I only knew each other on the peripherals. I knew about you because you were
Yep.
family. I would see you at family stuff, but we didn't really know each other. We never hung out. We never talked. I didn't have his phone number, nothing like that.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest turning point is when, we're already starting to get close, but we were kind of like I hate saying the honeymoon phase, but we had started hanging out a little bit more.
Where was that though?
But I think Mexico was probably the first time
you
we
think?
spent
You're right.
a bunch, together for a whole
When was
week.
that?
I don't know.
Before I left.
yeah,
After Hawaii.
well,
It was
you're-
after I went to Hawaii.
And Chloe was born, but I don't, was it your wife pregnant or my wife was
My
pregnant?
wife was pregnant and due any day.
Okay.
My
With
son
Kona?
was born May 24th and we got back in May 1st or something.
Okay. So whatever
Yeah.
whatever
So
whatever
in
year that
May
would
of
have been.
2010, Aaron and I went on a mission trip to Mexico with
Yeah.
our church. And
And we were starting to get close at that point.
Well, so Aaron and I went to the same church.
Yeah.
That's kind of the fulcrum here.
All of us did. My wife.
My wife, him and his wife all grew up together.
Yeah.
As cousins, obviously, and went to the same church. And so I met them at that church, and that's how we
Yeah.
kind of. So we started hanging out. Oh, we went on a mission trip together to Mexico, Chiapas, and we roomed together. We were bunkmates.
Yeah.
And for the whole trip, and that's when swine flu happened, and we were trapped in Mexico. Like the borders were closing, and airlines were shutting down, and people were dying and crazy stuff. We had no clue. We were in the mountains, no cell phones, no computers. People don't even speak Spanish where we were.
No, they were native.
They were
native
like
native
Mayans,
Indians.
essentially.
Yeah.
They were
yeah.
essentially like Mayans, and it's down by the border of Guatemala. And then we became friends after that, and then started getting close. We started hanging out more. We developed this tradition of doing New Year's every year
with the
and-
families.
Yeah, so we did get. It wasn't such a harsh transition.
Yeah.
I mean, we got to know each other and then all that good stuff. But I was still running my business. You were still working for that company.
Mm-hmm.
Right about that same time is when you got started in this industry. So
Yeah.
how did you get started in construction?
It was on a whim. A couple buddies of mine were working for an electrician. I wasn't working. I was doing school at the time. And the electrician that they worked for, the builder at the houses they were working on, was looking for a laborer.
What were you going to school for?
I hadn't picked anything. It was just general classes at that point.
What were you thinking you were going to do? What did you want to do?
The only thing I ever remember thinking maybe I wanted to do was some sort of law.
Really?
Yeah.
Law?
Yeah, like a
No
lawyer,
way.
possibly.
I didn't know this.
Yeah, we talked about it.
Really?
Yeah, and you said I'd be a horrible lawyer.
No, it all explains now a lot. It explains a lot, though.
Why?
I wish I would have known this.
Why?
Because I would have. It just makes more sense how you are now.
My compartmentalized brain and...
Yeah, it makes sense. So you. Oh
boy. How that would bother me?
Can you move on with that being on the ground? So you wanted to go into law.
I mean,
or something related.
that was the
You were
only...
interested in it.
Like, if someone would have asked me, that would be what I would have told them, but I wasn't actively pursuing
Right.
anything because I didn't know. I really didn't know.
So you just got a summer job or something.
Yeah, that's when they said, "Do you want to get a job doing this?" It was a laborer for a builder, and I was like, "Sure, why not?"
That was the fork in the road.
That was the fork in the road.
20 years you've been wishing you went the other way then.
20 years. It was a good decision that I made.
Okay, good. So 20 years ago, you take a summer
Well,
job.
that would have been it was 1990.
years
It was
ago.
1998.
Yeah, so 22 years ago, you start working as a laborer for a big company.
Yep. And it didn't take long, maybe a couple months. Then I started doing the punch out.
For us normal people, or us
Pun-
laymen.
Punch out would be a list at the end when the house was done. There's random and loose ends that sometimes don't fall under any contractor or trade. And a couple months after that, I was doing the scheduling on the finish end of. We were doing condos at the time, so it was pretty simple stuff. It was the same thing on every single one, so it was scheduling it out to get all the trades to get the condos finished. So we have to go through and check, do certain things, and also check to make sure that trades did do certain things before we did a walkthrough.
For people that don't know, when you build a house, you don't actually build a house. One big lie.
That's true.
How this works is, if
Yeah.
you're a contractor, which all home builders are contractors except for
Around here, on this side.
yeah, maybe a few guys who like build homes. They're the guys you see on the logos and on the patches and on the stickers of an old man with an axe and a nail and a hammer and a screw gun. There are people that do that, but for the most part, that doesn't happen. So when you build a house, it's basically you managing a bunch of other people building your house because they specialize in certain trades and they're cheaper than what it would cost for the guy who's good with wood to wire your house and take way too long.
And licenses, most people aren't licensed, and all the mechanics and a builder's license and everything else.
So for scheduling and timing and all that good stuff and money, you just can't afford to pay someone to do it like that. You need someone that's going to come in and be able to knock it out quick. How many trades would you think there are in building a home, like the homes we're building right now? If you had to guess.
If I had to guess, at 20.
20.
Yeah.
I was thinking 30, but you're probably, you know it. You're the expert.
I mean, it depends on what you want to consider trade.
Sure.
All right, the guy dropping the stone, is that a trade or not? You know, so.
Right. Okay, so basically, it's a bunch of other people building the house. So you worked for a big builder.
Yep.
Who built hundreds of homes and apartment units and
Condos, single family homes, some light commercial.
okay. So you were an employee of the company though. You weren't one of the contractors. So everyone else was building the home. You were managing what they were doing and filling in the gaps if there was garbage that has to be picked up or there was a
materials that had to be there,
something reframed or something real quick.
Changes,
You had to fix it so that the train could keep rolling, basically. And how long did you do that for?
I mean, like from when I started to when I went out on my own, that would have been 14 years.
So for 14 years, you basically managed other people building for a big builder.
With the economic turn in 2007, 2008, I was the only super that they kept on. Money was just slim pickings at the time.
So a super is someone who, a superintendent.
Would be a construction manager. That was the term that they called us.
So the super is the person that runs the sub.
Yeah.
So you may have, how many homes were there in the biggest sub you guys did?
The biggest sub we did was the condos, and it was 300 units.
So 300 units are being built. He made sure all of them were getting built the way they were supposed to be getting built. Everyone answered to you, essentially.
Yeah.
And then you answered to the big boss.
Correct.
2007, 2008.
Things pretty much dried up. We had subs all over southeastern Michigan, and I had to run from sub because they got rid of all the supers. Usually it'd be one superintendent per sub, but there wasn't enough houses.
So you're doing all of them.
Exactly, because usually we'd have anywhere from 10 houses in a sub, 10 houses per sub going on.
Sure.
At this point, we have one or maybe two. So you can't have a superintendent.
Right. So you're
for
going
each
all over
sub.
the place.
So
Life sucks.
Exactly. So I'm going from every single subdivision and running the apartments we just finished as the maintenance supervisor. And I mean, at the time, thankful to have a job, but it had been many years since a raise, and pay had gotten cut, and it was a money thing. I had 3 kids, and I needed to make more money. I was in a position that my wages weren't about ready to cover what I needed.
And I'm at the time I had a paving company.
Yeah.
I did asphalt maintenance, and I remember I would bring you in after hours and on weekends. If you didn't have something to do there, you would come help me out for extra money.
Yeah.
We would split the jobs. It was like being partners on small stuff.
Yeah.
And then we got like a deck job and a few other things, and we would just split them for extra money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was constantly doing side jobs after hours
trying to make some money.
Yeah. So
I remember you telling me like you were stressing out because you had babies at home. You had 3 babies at home and a wife, and you were like, I'm always working. I don't get to see them ever. Mm-hmm. And your car wasn't reliable, and like it was always breaking down, and there's just always stuff going on.
It was a tough time. I mean, it was.
But I would see how much you worked though, bro, and I was like, man, you do such good stuff. I couldn't believe that you didn't have money. Mm-hmm. I couldn't believe you weren't getting paid more. And I remember when you told me what you were getting paid, and I was like, I can't believe that's real for what you're doing. Because I had employees, and I knew what I paid my employees, and I was not as important as you. Right? My employees didn't do a tenth of the work you did. I just remember it being so rough, dude. I couldn't believe it.
It was a good couple of years where things were super, super tough, but
that was the motivation you needed. I mean,
exactly. I mean, when you look back on your life, you're like, oh, that was a horrible time. But I think, it's the grand plan that's working its way through, because it's like if you don't walk through certain tough times, it may not give you that push that you need to get to the next step.
It's the valley. Mm-hmm. And then, so I think around 2007, when you started your company, and it had been a couple years, and you were doing side jobs and stuff, and then I remember we sold a deck job, and you didn't have insurance, and I had insurance. Yep. And instead of buying insurance, you're like, can we just cover this under your insurance company? Mm-hmm. So that was essentially the first time we'd partnered up on anything.
Yeah, that was like the first legitimate job, I think, that we did.
The first legal job.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
So basically it starts for us. I don't remember when that was though, but it had to have been 2008, 9, maybe 2009.
That sounds about right, yeah.
And then I moved out of state, and then business just got better and better for you.
Yeah, I mean, timing wise, I think after you moved away, remember there was a year and a half though that was the big transition though in between where I went to go work for Mike.
Oh yeah.
So there was a point where I asked for a raise and they told me no, and that was when I told them, I'm right, well then I have this job offer, I gotta go. So
there was this dude, shout out to Mike Moran, dude.
Yes.
He owns Extreme Engineering in Troy, Michigan.
Yeah.
And they run cable. They run
gas systems.
Yeah, they run systems for cell phone services, basically. Verizon, and at the time was Sprint, Nextel, and all that stuff. I don't know what companies they're working for now, but Mike Moran is an awesome dude who just takes care of everybody and is just selfless and always looking out, and he's trying to make an impact on the world with his business. I
wouldn't, Masterworks wouldn't have took off like it did if it wasn't
and
for him.
My life wouldn't be where it's at if it wasn't for him and his wife, Karen. I had worked for this guy because when my company was seasonal, I could only pave and do asphalt work in the summers, and I would do snow removal and things like that in the wintertime. But if it's not snowing, I had time off, essentially. Yeah. And so Mike said, why don't you come work for me on the days that you can work? I don't need much advance notice. If you can work, call me and I'll say, come on in. And if you need If you're not going to work for 2 weeks, tell me, and you just
Yeah.
won't work. So that worked out well for me. And then I moved out of state and took a job, and I was gone for about 7 years. And during that time, Aaron was going through his transition,
Yeah.
and he had asked for that raise, and they didn't want to give it to him, and he knew that this wasn't going anywhere. And so I told Aaron, dude, you got to talk to this guy, Mike Moran. He really took care of me. I told him all about you. I told him how hard of a worker you were. I'm telling you, it was right after that conversation we had. We were plowing snow, or we were doing something at the preserves.
Mm-hmm.
I was in your truck, and it was on like a Saturday or a Sunday or something, and you were like, I'm not getting paid for this.
Oh yeah.
And
I wasn't getting paid for a lot of things. Yeah.
I couldn't believe that you were coming in on a weekend or a Sunday or whatever it was. You needed help for something, and so I just was with you to help. I remember I was riding the truck, and you told me how much you made, and then you told me I'm not getting paid for this, and I could not believe that you worked 55 hours a week or whatever it was,
Easy.
and then came in and shoveled snow and did whatever on 7 days a week sometimes. And so that day I called Mike Moran, and I said, Mike, I got this friend Aaron. You gotta look at him. I knew I was leaving.
Yeah.
And I was like, he's a great worker and blah 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 blah, and he wants to start his own business and this and that. And Mike didn't hesitate. He was like, sure, man, have him give me a call. He can start work whenever. And Mike's always been like that, man.
Yeah.
He's always been like that. So my company did what it did because of him, and Masterworks did what it did because of him. And then eventually what happened? What changed?
Yeah, so I worked for him for, I think a little over a year. And when I first started, there wasn't much travel, but the travel increased with the jobs. I mean, his company was making great money, but a lot of the good paying jobs were out of town. So the travel just got to be too much. And I just told him, like, listen, I gotta make a push to go out on my own.
Because, well, that's a rough lifestyle when you got 3 babies.
Well, that's the thing. I started at like a couple weeks right after my third daughter was born. So, like I said, for the first couple months there wasn't much travel, but after
that's
that,
why you asked for the raise.
Yeah, because I already had a job lined up, and if they weren't gonna give me the raise,
like, I just had a baby.
Yeah,
this isn't gonna work.
It's like I can't make the same amount of money after having 3 kids.
Right.
And it just didn't work. Like
right.
I couldn't function. So I went in, asked for the raise. He said no. I said, all right, well, I got to take this job, and I did, and worked there. I mean, it was. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed, traveling a little bit, but it was killing me inside knowing that I wasn't home with my family, and stuff would come up, and I wasn't there to take care of it.
And then, was it an opportunity that allowed you to make a push, or did you just?
Yeah, another shout out to Dave, who got the first big Masterworks job.
My ex-stepbrother-in-law.
And your ex-stepbrother-in-law and my cousin-in-law.
Yeah.
Got me I redid his house.
Yeah, he hired you. He took you on.
He hired me. Said he was out of state at the time. He was moving back into state, and he had bought a house, and he wanted me to redo it. So he asked me, and I said yes. So I talked to Mike. I said, hey, listen, this is what I've always wanted to do. Can I redo this house? He said, I understand. I had to make the same jump as being self-employed at some point. I understand what it's like. You do what you got to do. Anytime you don't have work, give me a call. You can come back and work. So having that peace of mind, knowing that I wasn't just jumping out there with no life raft and not being able, it's like, all right, I got one job.
Right.
What happens after that?
Yeah.
So
you could come back basically if this job ended.
Exactly.
It was an open door. We need more people in the world like that guy.
Yes, we do. So, but that was I left. I got off the plane. We were working in Phoenix at the time at the Arizona Cardinal Stadium. I flew back from Phoenix, and I never had to go back and work for Mike. I mean, since then we've had work.
There was enough referrals. And
there was enough referrals.
Just coming
it helped that job was an 8-month job. So during that time, I could also I landed one other big kitchen job. So I remember going to the first job at like 6 in the morning because we worked out a deal. I was just giving them 8 hours a day because it was kind of like we couldn't quote the job. It was
too big.
It was too big.
Scope was changing.
So I just said, all right, I'll give you 8 hours a day. And then I landed this other kitchen job, and I wanted to get it going. So I'd go and work at his house from 6 in the morning till 2, and then that was in Rochester, and then I was driving out to Lathrop Village to do the kitchen. It was kitchen and 2 bathrooms from like 2 to 7 at night.
Dang.
And then from there, it was just kept, up until recently, I'd never done any advertisement. So it was all just word of mouth and referrals.
Sure.
And, there was a couple jobs that was family. They knew what I was doing, and they were, I thank you to everyone who helped me out with whatever small job it was at the time, because every small job, just was able to fill it filled in the calendar.
Yep.
So it was definitely a blessing. It was something that we wanted to do. We wanted to get to a point, though, that we were self-employed, where we were able to determine what we were going to do, and the main part was to help and bless other people.
Yeah. Because
I've been helped out by family, by friends, by
for sure.
Employers, and I wanted to get to a position where I was able to do that. So, that's a big part of what Masterworks is about.
Yeah, and I guess that brings us to, I was out of state. I was a police officer. Aaron and I had been talking about the future, and this was about 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that I was going to be moving back to Michigan, and my family's here, and I had 3 kids when I was out there, and so I knew I was coming back. And so I had just mentioned to Aaron, every year I would come back for Christmas to visit, and it became a tradition where I would come back and I would work with Aaron for a day or 2.
He really liked putting his boots on, so he'd like to put his boots on and get a little dirty.
I had gone to a different line of work. I went from working with my hands in the dirt to working, essentially wearing a uniform every day.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just different kind of work. So I liked, when I came back to Michigan, to have some type of...
it's just a change of pace and get back to, working with your hands. You work with your hands, but...
Yeah, it was just different.
Yeah.
So I just like to get back, and then I liked hanging out with him or whatever. Yeah. So we would, I would come work for him for a day or 2 every vacation. And while we were talking, I had just mentioned that, that I'd really been thinking that I was going to be moving back, that I wasn't really sure, because I had a career,
mm-hmm.
and I had, my whole family was out, my life was out of state now. And Aaron was like, would you ever think about moving back and being my partner? That was the first ray of light that showed me that maybe it was a real thing moving back.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard when you got grandparents who can't see their grandkids. So that was the first time.
I do have to confess that your mom did pay me to say that.
Yeah, my mom was heartbroken. So I didn't want to tell anybody, because that's a huge decision.
Yeah.
His company, Masterworks, was doing really, really well, and it had been growing every year. And it had grown to the point where you couldn't really do it anymore.
Yeah, I was back to the point of I had no time. And
right.
I didn't build Masterworks so that I
right.
didn't have any time on my hands.
Right. So I'm sure a lot of it has to do with your personality. You're a perfectionist, and
mm-hmm.
you're pretty OCD about a lot of things,
mm-hmm.
and that's what makes the company so excellent. And so in your head, whether perceived or real, a lot of things can't wait. You might get a phone call at 5 p.m. that says something happened to the schedule or whatever, and all of a sudden you got to scramble to make sure that things happen, because people are relying on you.
Mm-hmm.
So Aaron was basically going crazy again. He had too much going on.
Yeah.
Money was great, but that's not what this was all about.
No.
You wanted to be a dad and a husband,
mm-hmm.
and you wanted to be able to bless people, and you find yourself running around. So I remember you were frustrated when you were telling me, you're like, I just can't, I'm happy, I'm thrilled, it's a great problem to have, but I got to start thinking about the future.
Yeah.
And you were thinking about hiring somebody. And so bottom line is, we got to talking, and we said we're going to take a year, and we're really going to make sure that this is the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk to a lawyer, we're going to pray about it,
mm-hmm.
and we're going to seek counsel of people that we look up to, and talk to our wives and our families, and we're going to take a full year. And I usually, when people say that, dude, that just goes away.
Yeah. Well, I gotta say, after we talked about it, we talked about it at that when you came back for Christmas the year before. The first couple weeks, up to a month, I was like, oh, cool. And then after that, out of sight, out of mind,
Right.
I'm like, would he really leave?
Right. I mean, it's huge.
Yeah, I'm like, it'd be great if he does, but I really didn't want to push you because I didn't want it to be because
Of course.
me pushing you, and then you're like, oh, Aaron, put this pressure on me to come back.
Right.
Now I made the decision. Now I'm not happy. Now it's because Aaron
Right.
put this pressure on me to come back.
And the same thing is I didn't want to tell anyone because I didn't want that pressure.
Yeah.
I did not want pressure. But I would call you every month or you would call me. I don't remember how that all worked, but we would call once a month. That was the idea. We would touch base once a month and be like, are we still moving in this direction?
Yep.
Are we still looking at this? Are we still exploring? And I remember it'd be like, I'd forget about it for a month.
Yeah.
But then when that phone call came or when I called you or whatever, it'd like re-spark it. And then I'd have to like reconsider again and talk to Christina again and see. And it progressed. It just kept going.
Yeah.
And so finally, like 8 months in, I think it was like August or something.
Yeah, because you had to start making plans to actually.
Yeah, because if I'm going to be moving out of state and it's 5,000, 4,000 miles away.
Make sure it was Hawaii, so it's not like just loading up a U-Haul and
Yeah, I couldn't
driving.
just drive. It's a huge deal. You had to sell everything. Sold my car, had to sell everything we had, and had to make sure we had our lease. Like, I knew going into I had a new lease in 2017. So Aaron and I talked Christmas of 2016. So 2017, I went into my lease knowing that I may have to finish out this lease and then move. So to not renew a lease and to tell my landlord we're not renewing, like there's a lot of risk involved, dude. Because if we decided not to go, we had to move anyway. Turn into a big thing. So I remember calling and we were like, you know what, if this is going to be real, then I got to invest some money. And I gotta invest some time and take some time off work and come out there and work. And so we did. I took 3 weeks off of work.
Yep.
And that was tricky.
Yeah.
That was tricky. It was so tricky, I'm not sure what part of this I'm airing.
Exactly. We have to be editing part of this out.
I had to strategically take some days off. Thank God it was all legit. And I came to Michigan and I took 3 weeks and just worked with you. I had no family. My wife wasn't here. None of my kids. It was like I wanted to make sure. I remember the theme was I wanted to be as miserable as it could possibly be because I want to make my decision based off of how miserable it was. Because you know how it is.
There's always highs and lows, and if you base it off the high, and then you're going to be like,
well, you go to vacation and you're like, God, wouldn't we love to live here?
Yeah.
Right? And then I vacationed in Hawaii. And we were like, wouldn't we love to live here? Thank God Hawaii was everything that it was cracked up to be. But I know people move places and like it's just not the same vacationing versus getting a job. And I came here for 3 weeks and we worked on some projects and my head was spinning. I didn't know.
It was because that actually was, I mean,
Chest lock?
Well, that was right before you, that's the one project you saw. We had just started to demo a little bit and then you left. And then you came back, I think, at the very end to see it. But we worked on the Rochester edition while you were there.
You're right.
And those were some long days because we're at that point where it was just super crazy. So we were working till 6 o'clock.
Right. And I was more like baggage. I mean, I was more like carrying a dead body around. I was labor.
I mean, yeah, but it was an investment.
Right.
You had to see what was going on.
Basically, at that point, I think I went back in September or maybe October 1st or something like that. And
when you left, I wasn't quite sure.
I know.
I'm like, but at least you got a real feel of what it would be like.
After that trip, I wasn't sure either, but I was like, it was just as up in the air staying as going. I was like, put it this way. I didn't learn, by coming here, nothing told me not to come here.
Yeah.
And that's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
I was looking to come here and be like, I was looking for red flags. And there wasn't any. So I was like, you know what? Then we're going to keep moving forward. It's going to get real quick, but we're going to keep moving forward. We made the decision. I don't remember how early it was, but it wasn't that. I think it was like 2 months before. I think it was probably October that we decided. I said, all right, I'm making the move. And then we moved. And I started officially January 1st of 2018. And there was a lot to learn. There's still tons to learn, but it was like we had to feel each other out. There was a lot of like
find our place.
Yeah, we have roles.
Yeah.
And first of all, we didn't know what those roles were. We didn't know what the possibilities even were.
Yeah.
Until we start seeing what we're good at, how we communicate, where we thrive, and that would change as time went on because I would learn more. I'm basically the dumbest guy in the room at any point. When I walked into a room, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what people were talking about. I didn't know basically anything. And so I know I drug you down for a long time, and it must have been frustrating. But we would talk about that stuff.
Well, we had the end game in mind, and that's what we were going for.
And so the last 2 years has been amazing. You won some awards, and we hooked up with an amazing interior designer, Dayna Flory. You can check her out at Dayna Flory Interiors. She is fantastic. I'll leave a link in our description. She's just the best there is, and you do good work, and you stay good to people, and you meet good people, and everyone takes care of each other, and everyone's been great to us.
Yeah.
All our referrals, all our customers are just the best. It was easy for me to fit in here because it was such a great company. It wasn't hard. I didn't have to really transition into much. Revenues have gone up and the money's gone up, but more importantly, like our reputation is great. We have customers that constantly call us to do more stuff.
Yep.
And then the economy is doing really well. Things have just been great. And we had a lot of goals. We had written down a lot of goals.
Doug's the goal writer.
I'm the goal writer. I'm just more goal oriented.
Yeah.
He'll just keep his head down and work like a horse.
Yeah.
And then look up every once in a while.
Yeah.
And so my job was to direct it.
Exactly. And that was what we needed to get, work through to find our strengths and weaknesses. And I think we complement each other pretty well.
Yeah, it
in
works
that aspect.
out. You're a much better worker than I am, and you know so much more about construction. And you don't have time to look up and think about future and think about trends and think about that kind of stuff.
I have to though.
You do.
And I didn't. That's why we had it to. I mean, I knew that's where I was lacking. I knew that I'm like I don't have. It's like you're so. The only way I could get through what I was going through was to stay so focused, and getting things done. It's like I couldn't look past that.
And there was no other way to do what you were doing.
No.
You have to be that focused.
Yeah.
You're juggling 30 people. One screw up is going to cost thousands of dollars or weeks of time and ruin the job, and someone's waiting on their kitchen or whatever. Yeah, dude, you don't really have that. So my job was to bear some of that burden and introduce things to the company and then come to you so you don't have to go digging and searching and researching whatever. I can just bring to you, listen, I've vetted all these things. This is what I'm thinking, and then you can help make decisions. We've rebranded the company. The company has a new look. We have a new direction. The goals that Aaron had. The first thing I did is I sat down with Aaron and I said, what do you want? Like, what is your dream for this company? Because if you're moving towards that dream, you're having fun. Like you're feeling good about it. And you said you always wanted to build a home. Yeah. And we've been able to do that now. We have 2 new construction projects that are underway right now. That we're halfway through on one of them almost, and you were able to build this amazing house on your own.
Yeah, it was. It's like everyone has those check marks that they want to check, and for me, obviously being in the industry, building my own personal house was definitely just one of those things I had to do at least once. So it was a blast doing it, and it's so completely different though, doing it for yourself as opposed to building someone else's house. So that was something I kind of learned.
Dude.
Making decisions. I can make decisions for other people all day long. But when it comes to making...
You exhausted me. Just
I'm
hearing
sure.
you talk on the phone.
I'm sure.
The amount of decisions that had to be made on a given day. And if we're being honest, there was a lot of decisions where you're like, to be honest with you, I don't care.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to whatever.
Yeah.
I can't make another decision right now.
You get to a point, you're done.
But it turned out great. And now we have this awesome place that we built this studio in, and we can do podcasts and we can do videos. We're just knocking the goals off the list. Yeah. So we have been making a lot of great progress. For me, I don't really care so much what I do. Like building a house isn't like a thing that I needed to do. But I do need to accomplish. Yeah. Like I do need to, line them up and knock them down. And so that's how I was able to align myself with what you wanted to do. Yeah. I didn't care what the goal was. Yeah. But like, give me a goal.
Yeah. I mean, and that's kind of where I'm at now. Just seeing, doing this for everybody else, I was like, I got to build my own house. But other than that, yeah, my goals are more accomplishments as opposed to actual, getting to a certain point.
Yeah, I think that as men, it feels good, especially when you got wife and kids at home, and it feels good to do things and to do hard things and to accomplish things and like to struggle to get through and then finally break through. Like that's such a great feeling, dude. And to set a goal, and then especially goals that are hard or goals that not a lot of people do, or goals that people think you aren't going to be able to accomplish. Those ones feel the best, dude. Because there's no one with you saying, yeah, you can do that. They're all like, okay, buddy.
Yeah, have fun.
Yeah, have fun with that one. And then to be able to do the things that we've been doing. We had revenue goals, of course. We've met every single year. And that's been great. Social media exposure and figuring out our brand. Right now, we're in this growing process where we don't have a direction, so to speak, that we are aiming for.
Yeah, that we say we have to go down.
We are really searching.
Yeah.
We just know that we want to have more fun.
Yep.
We want to have a better quality of life, and we want to enjoy what we do.
Yeah.
It can be something we don't know anything about.
Yeah.
And hence, we now have a YouTube channel, and we're making these videos, trying to see what value we want to, no matter what, we want to bring value. And so if we can do that through these videos, that's where we're going with this. So this is really like ground zero.
Yeah.
It's weird to be starting over, but it does feel like a new
completely.
journey.
I mean, because this is way outside my box.
Oh yeah.
But if we can have fun doing it, like I said, and bring value to people's life. I mean, I think I've gotten to the point where it's just when you're younger, it's like, okay, it doesn't matter what I want to do.
Right.
I have to make money. I have to get to a certain point so I can establish myself and have a life. It's like then we get to a point. It's like, all right, we've gotten to the point where we're established. Now we can concentrate, I think, on other things.
Right. We can at least start to cater more towards quality of life decisions.
Yes.
So we're still going to be doing work. We're still going to be building homes. This is what we do.
Yeah.
It's just that we have more emphasis on choosing projects that are going to make our lives better for our families and our kids, and for going to work every day. Like, do you want to be here?
Yeah.
Because man, there's nothing worse than being somewhere you don't want to be, doing something you don't want to do for someone you don't want to do it for, because no one's going to be happy.
No.
And you want someone to be, just like our contractors and our employees. We got the best team ever. Shout out to Mike and Dave and Gary and Joel.
Yeah.
You guys have just been great, and we want to make sure that our employees are happy when they're at work, because they want to come in, dude. When they come in smiling with donuts and everyone's joking and laughing, there's no better feeling.
I know. I mean, there's nothing worse when I know when there's a day where the job is kind of one of those, you're like, listen, I gotta prepare you.
Yeah.
And those are days like I gotta make sure that I try to work with them, because there's nothing worse than here's the garbage job and I'll see you guys later.
Yeah. Here, clean out this dumpster.
Yeah.
I'll be back in 8 hours.
Yeah.
So Masterworks is our company that we actually work in. That's our livelihood.
Yeah.
MyMasterworks.com. But X-Step Cousin-in-Laws is the interface of our social media brand for Masterworks Contracting, essentially. We have Masterworks social media that we do for our customers, but nothing that we make in X-Step Cousin-in-Laws is really directed towards our customers. We do use some of those things. We have one video that I'll put a link right here, which is the things that you should know before starting any construction project. I don't know if I told you, but I have been sending all the leads that have been coming in. People call for stuff. I said, well, make sure you watch this video first, and I send them the link.
Smart, yeah.
So I will send them links of stuff we do in X-Step Cousin-in-Laws, but we didn't make X-Step Cousin-in-Laws for Masterworks. It's its own thing. We want to bring value. It doesn't have to be people in Michigan. It can be anywhere. We just want to bring some value, and most of that is comedic relief.
Yeah. I mean, but it's just that Masterworks is so much part of our life that it's kind of just, it falls into that space at this point, and that's what we're working. He
didn't put the Masterworks hoodie on because we were doing this shoot.
This is what I wore today.
Yeah, we worked today, and we had 2 hours before we got off work, and so we're like, let's shoot a video. And this is one of our signs for our new construction job, so we just put it up there. But they're totally different things with different strategies and everything. The goal is to be able to use Masterworks to help provide content, because we're doing projects and we can record things, and it spurs ideas on talks and conversations and discussions. So it works out that we have that. That's kind of what brings us all the content. And Next Step Cousin-in-Laws is like the interface to get it to you guys. So we do want to say thank you, though, for all you guys that have been watching and supporting, liking, commenting, sharing our videos. Mike Castiglione, he's he's just the most faithful dude.
He's probably the #1 sharer of our videos.
The #1. There is a top fan thing on Facebook. I was thinking about activating because he would definitely be the one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Always sharing stuff. And Aunt Joe and everybody that just helps us out. We appreciate it. We're just getting started here. We don't really know what we're doing, but we're not going to act like we do. This is us.
No, yeah. I think you can tell.
Yeah.
That we are definitely we're starting out. We're trying, putting
we're dipping our toes in the water.
Yeah.
And it's not easy, and it's scary.
Because I'm very, very uncomfortable in front of a camera.
Which I think we're going to find out he's a superstar in front of the camera.
I'm hoping that's where this is going. But for right now, this is a struggle.
But I think that we don't know what to say. We don't know what the future holds.
So, right, if they got suggestions.
Oh, good point. I like it.
Anything you guys want to hear about us to talk about, really anything?
Whatever you guys want to hear about. If there's something that you want to see, or there's something that you want us to talk about, or there's something that you want advice, or if there's advice that you have to give, we're open to it. Yeah. This is a new venture for us. We just want to be able to bring some value. So we do need feedback. Whatever you guys can do, we would appreciate it.
Yeah.
And moving on from here, we're going to try to make videos that help people. That's obviously a big thing. And try to make videos that we like laughing and having fun.
I mean, if there's one thing that we do a lot during the day, it's laugh.
Yeah. So we're going to try to make things funny, and sometimes you can't make certain things funny, but
unfortunately, the camera cuts out when it's the funniest a lot of times.
We have lost hours of footage.
Of great footage.
We have reshot a Chick-fil-A video twice now and lost the footage both times.
Yeah.
Or couldn't use
and the
footage.
second one was so good.
Oh, it was so good.
We were singing Cyndi
Lauper.
Cyndi Lauper.
And I didn't think it was Cyndi Lauper.
That's right. You thought it was Justin Timberlake and...
Yeah, I thought it was, the True Colors.
Yeah.
We had some great stuff and we lost it, but we're working out the kinks now.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how everything's going to work out in the editing process, which takes forever. But
I know nothing about.
Hopefully we can make this video work out good. So we hope that this helped kind of give you context into who we are. We don't have really a mission for this one. We're just kind of giving some background and trying to see this like a test to see how this studio is going to work out and what the setup is going to be. Mm-hmm. And hopefully we can actually get into some good stuff. There's a lot of important stuff that we do like and do want to talk about, but we kind of got to get this one out of the way. So this episode was just for us to sit down and talk and fill you in on who we are and why we're X-Step Cousin-in-Laws and how we got to this point.
Yeah, how we ended up here in my basement in front of a
Crazy.
Camera.
A year ago. This wasn't even on the radar.
No.
A year ago. This was a dirt hole. You know what I mean?
It was. And now it's
crazy, man.
It's a studio.
I know. So we just want to say thank you guys for tuning into the channel. We appreciate all the support, all the love everybody's been given. It means a lot to us. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell so that you know when the next video comes out. So we just want to say thank you guys for tuning into the channel and for watching the video. We appreciate all the love and support. You guys have been amazing. If you like this video or other videos that we have, make sure you hit that like button and go ahead and subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell so that you know when more videos are coming up. So until the next time, we are X-Step Cousin-in-Laws. Thank you. Try not to be a hillbilly on the My Name's Aaron. No,
I'll do my best.
Okay, what's up? Oh, blah, blah, blah.
See, it's contagious.
What's up, everybody? My name is Doug.
My name's. See, I can't. I can't.
My name.
I can't. I can't.
All right, you know what? I'll get it. We'll do it this way. Ready? What's up, everybody? My name's Doug.
And my name's Aaron.
And we are X-Step Cousin-in-Laws. What's up, everybody? My name is Doug.
Start it over.
Are you serious?
Is it ready?